There are people who believe that life has no meaning and that life has no value. There are also people who believe that we're born with like a specific purpose and that we are here to spend our lives trying to figure out what that purpose is so that we can dedicate our lives to that purpose. And when I hear these ideas, I think to myself, well, I personally am a natural rule breaker, so I like to question things. And for me, the questions that come to mind are, what if we aren't born with a purpose? And what if we're not meant to be searching for a purpose? So if we are born with a purpose, what if we aren't meant to search for it? What if we have different purposes for different points in our life? So there are a lot of like different stages that we go through in our lives, and that could be, when we're in our early 20s, maybe when we're in our 30s, if we decide to get married, if we decide to have kids, I feel like there has to be room for your purpose to change or evolve. So what about those factors, right? Another thing that comes to mind is like, who besides us gets to decide what truly is meaningful and what has value or what doesn't have value in our lives, right? So when I hear these things, when I hear these philosophies about, meaning in life, my natural position that I take is a position of questioning. And so before I get into this video, I want to encourage you to think about, what is meaningful in your life? What does meaning and purpose mean to you? How do you define that? And also maybe challenge yourself to question your own idea of what it means. And hopefully through this video, I can give you a different perspective on meaning in your life. So I had found myself having this conversation with my friend a while back about feeling like the career that I've chosen for myself is not very meaningful. And I don't know, I have these moments where I feel like I kind of spiral and about my career, because I feel like, that's the thing that I have the most control over in my life. Like, I get to decide what I do every day. And for those of you that don't know, I am a full-time content creator and I am a live streamer on Twitch. So I spend a lot of my time playing video games, and there is a huge stigma around gaming and it being childish. And I felt like at a certain point in my life that, sorry, my dog is like licking the couch, but I felt that at a certain point in my life, I got to a certain age. We don't need to speak about that. I got to a certain age where I was like, man, like, I'm still gaming and I'm still like live streaming and hanging out with friends and just honestly having fun. If I can be honest with you, like, my job is really fun, but I felt like as an adult that I couldn't enjoy that without it coming off as like being childish. And so I felt like I need to do something more meaningful with my life. I need to be changing the world. I need to do something that's going to affect the world. And so I was having this conversation with my friend saying like, I think I'm just going to have to move on from this because, I feel like I can do something better with my life. And their response to me was really surprising and totally unexpected. They said to me, you don't need purpose. You need to do whatever you're doing purposefully. And so I thought about that for a while, and I was just like, man, what is this dude talking about? Like, I'm trying to change the world. Like, what am I going to do? How am I going to do that playing video games? But when I really thought about it, because like that's like the defensive part of myself, the part of myself that's like, no, I'm right. I know what I need to do for myself. But again, I like to challenge ideas. And so I'm always open to challenge my own like thoughts and my own ideas. That's the only way that I can grow as a person. And so I thought about it and I was like, man, like, who is telling me, besides myself, who is telling me that what I have chosen to do with my life is not meaningful? And in what area of what I'm doing can I find meaning? Like, well, where, if I were to just throw away the idea that it wasn't meaningful, then what areas of what I do are meaningful? And so I thought about how my stream in my community, the impact that the impact that I have on my community, the impact that my community has on me, the impact that the people of my community have on the world. And I started to realize that I was the one that was deciding that I didn't have any value in what I was doing, or there wasn't any value in what I was doing. And I was also the one who was like judging myself and just not allowing myself to give myself to the thing that I already have here in this moment. I thought, well, I gotta go find this purpose somewhere else, in some other moment, and some other job, and some other community, because I'm not feeling it here. I realized that because I've spent so much of my life chasing some grand purpose, I was robbing myself of the opportunity to create it in the moment. And when I say create it, I mean like the relationship that you have with the things that you do already is what is defining that meaning, the meaning that has in your life. So I realized that I was defining the value of the things that were happening in my life, not based off of like how they were making me feel. Because clearly I'm saying I'm having fun, I'm enjoying this. Like, I love building community, I love connecting with people, I love playing games with my friends. And so I'm clearly enjoying this thing, but I was basing the meaning and the value of what I was doing off of like what I felt the world had decided was appropriate for a certain time or age or place in my life, right? So I'm thinking, oh, this is childish because this is how the world would view it. Like, you see people not wanting to date people that game because they view gaming as childish. And a lot of the times when it came to dating for me, I would be finding people who would be asking me, okay, so like, you know, like that's cool, but like, what do you actually do? Like, they weren't viewing what I was doing as valuable or as significant. And so in response, I started to believe that there was no significance to what I was doing. So, you know, that's kind of how I went through the thought process after hearing that saying from my friend of, you know, life, like, you don't need purpose. You have to do whatever it is that you're doing purposely. Just let that soak in and maybe take a moment to think about maybe some areas in your life where you have assigned or taken away value from something based off of how other people feel about it, or maybe you assign value based off of like how much money you can make from it, or how proud you'll make your family, or, you know, some sort of like external like source of validation. So take some time to think about that. Like, what meaning means to you. Do you feel like there's meaning in your life right now? And what is your relationship with those things? I realized through much thought, of course, that purpose isn't a thing that we find or a thing that we do. Purpose is the relationship that we have with whatever it is that we choose to do. So for the longest time, I thought that purpose had to be something big or world changing. And I thought that it meant like reaching, you know, millions of people, inspiring the masses, leaving behind some legacy, making this huge impact. And the truth is that I've been missing was that purpose only needs to mean something to me. And its reach never has to go beyond or extend further than my own life. And so I think that in the process of searching for meaning in life and purpose, that we lose sight of the fact that it has to mean something to us, because we're trying to create this image of a life that looks meaningful to everyone around us and that makes sense to everyone around us. And so we lose touch with the part of ourselves that has to be connected to the meaning and to the purpose. I think, and I can really only speak for myself here, so that's what I'll do, but I put so much pressure on myself to create this huge impact and to change the world, or to change, not maybe not necessarily the world, but to make the world a better place within, at least within the community that I was in, right? So I wanted to make this huge shift. I wanted to be part of a movement. And it's not to say that I can't do that, but that's a lot of pressure to put on yourself to be this world changing enigma in the world, I suppose. I don't even know the right word to use here. I'm like searching for it as I'm recording. But that is a lot of pressure to put on yourself to say, my life is never going to have any meaning. It's never going to have any value if it doesn't change the world. And now, like, saying that out loud, because I feel like I have these thoughts in my head, but like saying that out loud honestly does sound kind of silly. And, that would be like me saying, like, the majority of the world, the people in the world don't matter because they haven't affected my life. They haven't changed my world. And, they haven't changed the world. And so there is no meaning in their life. Like that, it would be so silly to say. And so that means that it can't be true for me either. It can't be true that if I don't do something world changing, that my life is not meaningful. If I'm not making the world a better place every day, then I've wasted my time here. Because, part of meaning, honestly, and purpose is kind of like having this selfish feeling of, okay, cool, like I'm going to do the things that matter to me. I'm going to do the things that make me feel good. I'm going to do the things that come naturally to me, and I'll share that with the world. And if that has an impact, then great. But if not, if it doesn't have an impact on the world, then I've impacted myself. And, me personally, I do think the purpose of life for me is to do the things that bring me joy, to connect with people that bring me joy, to spread love, and to, build and foster community, and to do the best that I can to take care of the people that are near me that I can have an impact on. And even through this podcast, like I even said in the last one, I really am making this podcast to express a part of me that feels like it wants to be heard, honestly. And through that, I hope that I'm able to inspire and motivate people to, pursue the things in their life that will bring them joy and happiness. But even if this only impacts one person, even if I only get one view on this video, like it still means something to me to have created it. So in itself, I am fulfilling myself through doing this. And, if I have an impact on another person, then that's also amazing. But to me, I think that when we do choose a purpose in this life, it cannot be based off of, other people and solely only other people. And it doesn't matter how you feel about it. You're just here to do this thing. Like there's a job here that you were sitting here to do, and you're only focusing on that. Like for me, that doesn't work. So, that's my perspective on what purpose truly is. Take it or leave it. I'd like to know your actual thoughts in the comments. Like, what do you feel like your purpose is? What do you think the meaning of life is? And have I challenged your ideas? Or maybe you think that I'm being silly here, and maybe you don't agree with me, and I would still be open to hearing that as well. I'm open to having my ideas challenged in the comments. So if you guys have a different perspective, I would really love to know. So feel free. So one other thing that I realized when I was in the space of like devaluing what I currently do, I found myself leaning towards more negative feelings about what I was doing. So not only had I decided that it was childish, but I had also decided that this is boring me, this is draining me, and this means nothing. And honestly, every day that I showed up with that mindset, I struggled to even get through the day. I was starting from a negative space, and I decided this doesn't mean anything to me. This doesn't mean anything to other people, or, I'm just here. People are just passing their days with me. And so it doesn't really matter like what I say or do, or what time I show up, or if I show up or not, because I've already devalued it. So I think that's something that's really important, is like asking yourself if there's a So if there's something happening in your life right now, if you are currently working a job, and no matter what that job is, if you're currently working a job and you find yourself having these really negative feelings about it, and maybe and this is not for the people who are actually in a toxic work environment. This is for people who are just working a job, and it pays the bills, you get your check, but you're not really the most thrilled about what you do, right? So I encourage you to think about like what it would look like to you in your life if you change your relationship with that thing in your life, your job or whatever thing in your life that you feel like is lacking meaning. What if you focus on the part of it that actually was meaningful to you? And for me, that's when I realized that gaming wasn't the purpose, but it was the community that I was building through the gaming. I found that I'm showing up daily and I'm creating these connections with people, and I'm building friendships, and I am networking, and I am brightening people's days. And even if I'm just putting a smile on somebody's face for a moment, like those little moments do add up, and they can change the course of someone's day. Or, I'm remembering little things about people. Oh, they applied for a job. Well, hey, how'd that go? Like, honestly, just checking in with people and letting them know that they mean something to you can change somebody's entire day. And so I started to realize that there are so many like pockets of meaning in the things that I already do, and that I just need to start valuing those things instead of finding all the things that maybe aren't the most pleasant part of my job. Like maybe I don't really enjoy, sometimes I do get bored playing the same game every day, or sometimes I am not in the mood to entertain, but I have to. But, I can't always, and we can't always be in the perfect mood every day. And even if I did choose another job, that's not to say that I would always be in the mood to do that job either. And so it's like, I'm taking these little tiny things, these negative pockets, and I'm like amplifying them. And I'm like, oh, well, if I had the perfect job that was perfectly meaningful to me, then I wouldn't be experiencing this. But that's not true. I would still be experiencing feelings that are uncomfortable, no matter if I find it to be meaningful or not, or whatever I'm doing to be meaningful or not. It's really important that we take the time to really think about what is meaningful to us. What do we enjoy outside of what other people are thinking about? Or what the expectations of our family, or what your friends are doing, or what your siblings are doing, or whatever, right? What the people that you went to high school with are doing. Like what means something to you? What brings you joy? What do you get lost in when you're doing it? And that could be anything. You could enjoy baking. You can enjoy writing a poem. You can enjoy helping a friend who's having a tough day, or maybe you just are a light in people's life when you go out into the world, and you just made somebody smile that day and that was meaningful to you, right? Like I think that it's important to pay attention to how you feel when you're out in the world, and when you're interacting with people, or when you are doing your hobbies, or whatever it is that you're interacting with on a day-to-day basis. I really think that those are the things that are important, the things that make you feel something, the things that make you forget about the negative things in your life. I think that there's meaning there. And so, one, I think that we create meaning in our lives through the relationships that we decide to have with the things that we currently do, but also there's already meaning there, and we just have to be willing to see it, be willing to question or to challenge our negative beliefs and decide, is this my thought or is this somebody else's thought? How does this make me feel? Or am I considering the feelings of other people more than myself in this moment? Maybe the job that you are doing isn't meaningful to you. Maybe there is no pocket of meaning there. But then I would encourage you to say, well, what would mean something to you? Only you can decide that. No matter what you decide to factor into it, the biggest factor should be your own personal feelings. So think about it. I don't know, just think about it. Another little story, a little nugget that I can give of like my life and how this lesson could have helped me sooner. I think back to the time in my life where I was cleaning houses for a living, and man, did I hate that job. This is an example for the people who genuinely just do not like what they do. And I used to work as a maid for a company, and man, that was the hardest job I've ever had in my life. And when I tell you I could not see my future beyond the next day, I had no plans. I had the ambition, and I knew that I had the potential to be so much more, but I just didn't have the resources. And so I was stuck doing that job until I decided that I wanted more for myself, of course. But I remember cleaning those houses and just thinking to myself, like, man, this is the lowest of lows. And, people don't treat me like I'm human. They don't even treat me like I matter, like I have a voice at all. And so I started to make myself smaller, and I started to think that I started to spiral in my head and think like, man, like, is this all that life has? Like, is this the best that life will get for me? Because man, if it is, then how can I go on? And so if I were to apply this new thought process of mine, this new philosophy that I have, maybe I would have looked at it from a different perspective, and I would have said to myself, like, wow, like the majority of the customers that I'm cleaning for are older. And these people are no longer able bodied. They cannot get up and do the things that I do. They can't bend over. They can't lift things. They can't vacuum. They can't get into the cracks of their home, but I can. And I am providing a service to these people that are no longer are able to do these things for themselves. And so that is one way that I thought that maybe I could make my job or the service that I'm providing feel more meaningful. Like it feels good to know that I can make somebody's life easier. And even to this moment and this day in my life, like I still feel that way about like anything that I do. Like I think that when I'm streaming, I'm like, man, like these people are at work. A lot of people that watch me, they're at work. They got my stream up. I'm keeping them entertained. I'm making it easier for them to get through their day. And I know what it feels like to be at work. And you just need to kill some time, or else you're gonna, you just need to kill some time. You need to get your mind off of what you're doing, or at least have a pleasant distraction, or have a little conversation that you can jump in and out of and just feel like you have some community. And I know what it's like working from home and you don't have any coworkers and you don't really have anybody to talk to in a day to day. That me keeping people company is honestly to me so meaningful, because I'm like, I understand what it's like to be feeling like you're stuck in your house and you gotta work, you can't leave, you don't have coworkers, you live alone or whatever. Nobody's there with you when you're working. And so it really is nice to have someone there with you, and then you can just type in the chat, get a little response back, tell people about things that are happening in your life, and people are, congratulations, or, I'm so happy that these things are happening for you. And that feels good, and that has its own meaning. And so when I look back on cleaning houses, I think about the people whose lives I made easier, and even the people who were able-bodied, right? Like some people just don't have the time. Maybe they want to spend more time with their family. I am providing a service, no matter how they felt about me, no matter how they viewed my job and what I was doing, even if they didn't treat me like a human sometimes, right? Like I get to decide my relationship with what I'm doing. I get to decide what it means to me, and I get to decide if I feel good about what I'm doing, if there is value here for me. And so who cares whatever those people were thinking about me? I honestly don't even know. I don't remember half the things that people were saying to me, but I'm saying now, like, it only matters how you feel about what you are doing, what kind of value it adds to your life. And don't let other people's feelings get all twisted up in yours. Like, disregard that entirely, okay? And I know a lot of this sounds a little bit crazy, and I know a lot of you guys work jobs that are really hard, and I don't want to take away from that. I don't want to make you feel like I don't understand because I've never done the job that you do, and I am not dealing with the things that you're dealing with. And I totally get that. Like, I see you, and maybe I can't directly relate to everything that you're going through. But what I do know is that you get to decide the relationship with what you do. And you get to decide to live a life of intentional gratitude, like being grateful for the things that you have. And I will say that gratitude has changed my life, and finding more things to be grateful for within the things that I feel are not meaningful has changed my life. And so I want to leave you with a question today. What can you be grateful for in your life right now that you currently have? What can you be grateful for? What are the little things that you do in your life, in your day-to-day, that you can find meaning in, right? Like, even if you're not working some 6-figure job, right? Like, most of us are not doing that. And so outside of like money and outside of, the opinions of others, of the world, of society, of your family, outside of the comparison of yourself to others, like, where is the meaning in your life? What makes you feel something? What makes you feel fulfilled? And what are you valuing in your life? So think about not the title, not the glory of the title that you might be seeking in life, but the impact and the connections and the choice to show up with intention in what you are currently doing. Maybe purpose isn't some destination out there waiting to be found. Maybe the purpose is here in this moment and the meaning that you choose to create today. So I leave you with this. Maybe I've inspired you to create some meaning in your life. And if I have done that, then my job here is done. That's all I wanted to do today, was to challenge your current ideas of what meaning is to you, to get you to think about your life and your current situation, right? Like, what do you have going on? Hobbies, friendships, relationships, career, whatever it is in your life. Like, what is your relationship with those things? How have you decided, or how have you given value, assigned value, or taken away, devalued the things in your life? And how can you do a better job of seeing the value that you already have in your life and creating more of it? Thank you for watching this video. I hope that I have made some kind of impact, even if a little tiny one. I hope that I have left an impact on you today. And if I have, then feel free to subscribe to the channel. I'm going to be making more videos like this, and they're just going to be about whatever I want to talk about. So today I want to talk about meaning. The next one, who knows? I really have no idea, but I'll see you in the next one.